Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of What If the Continents and Oceans Were Switched? And in the last episode, we had a lot of events happening. But some of the main ones were the Mediterranean country kind of being dethroned because, as you can see here, there is a little border like right here, I think. But, yeah, they're having a civil war right now. And, you know, it isn't, yeah, it's gonna be kind of bad. But we're going to slightly shift this color so you can see it. We'll get back to that area later, because for now, we need to head on to some other areas, like for instance, these guys right here. But what we see happening is we see a lot of expansion actually, and most of this is down here in the south where this Antarctic team is, but a lot of it is in the northern area too, and even the other Antarctica over here, I guess East Antarctica is also exploring, and eventually all this area is actually going to be found, which is a very big deal because there is a lot of new land to be taken. After all this, we see a ton of expansion. So West Antarctica will take all this land, which is a whole lot of land. This purple team right here is going to pretty much double their land area, and then a lot of these tiny countries are going to take some land, like the red team here, the purple team, and the cyan team, South Africa, the gold team. That's not right, because those guys don't take anything, but the yellow team will expand way farther west. The green team will take some, and even the orange team. And one of the biggest expansions overall, these guys probably multiply their size by like 10. But we have the blue team getting really big as well. And East Antarctica, we'll also get some land leading into this little square kind of thing here, where we're just going to see a ton of new countries pop up. So I said a lot of countries, but this area is way too weak for anybody to really handle it. So we got two countries, and this one looks a little too white, so I will change this color a little bit. Maybe we'll do like a lavender. That looks better, but yeah, so this whole area down here was now taken over. And this is going to lead to some major repercussions from some of these guys. But, yeah, time to give these guys capitals. And, the capital cities will be here and here. But for now, that's really going to be it for our expansion of this episode. Everywhere else is kind of settling down instead of getting bigger. But, next we have a major crisis. And this is because two major events happened that kind of shut the world down. And one of these is that these rebel groups up here have blockaded this little strait right here. So no one can get through. It's pretty bad. So no one can get through this area, which already is bad enough. But which kind of separates the world into two halves, basically. This half, the southern countries right here can't really get to these guys without going up through here and then going like around this way up through here. But just then, the purple team, their leader dies. So because of that, they have shut down their waters because of an investigation. He was assassinated. So they shut down their waters, which expand all the way over to here. They have really big waters. The biggest out of any country, I might add. Biggest. They're really big. And, yeah, up here, it's winter time. So up here, all this water has iced over. So, probably even down to, like, here. Like, it's iced over. You can't get through there. Meaning that, the world is sectioned off into two halves now. We have the eastern half, which kind of goes... We have the eastern half and the other half. So, they of course can go this way, but these countries up here can't connect. And some of these guys, there's even some terrorists that can go down here, and control a lot of these waters right here, and just waters all over, like, because there are also other countries that are associating themselves with them, like South Africans are shutting down a lot of these waters, or it's not good. The world is just divided into two right now, which leads to a lot of new stuff. First off, the Continental Pact is going to make a separate department So they're gonna have their blue department over here, which is basically just the eastern half, and then so they're kind of dividing their world into areas now. So there's going to help with this, so they can govern themselves in case something like this happens again. And then we're gonna have the red half. So each of these halves govern themselves basically. And then we of course have the next half, which will be the yellow half, or I guess the next third be the yellow third. Half is better, but yeah. So now the Continental Pact has 3 main groups, and this helps unify the alliance a lot more because they can they have their local governments, their local government agencies, and then they have their Continental Pact quartile, I guess we'll call it. I think that works. And then they have the main Continental Pact, which meets up in these guys right here every year or so. But now that we have to go down between lands, so it's just like the water that's blocked off, which is still bad. And yeah, the economics right now are terrible. It's like it's like a Great Depression. There are a lot of countries that are just wiped off the map, so we can are into anarchism. And just to show a little bit of these, this country right here is one of them. And looking at the alliances, the big alliance here isn't really affected too much by this, but there are still some countries inside of it that aren't able to support themselves anymore. Like this country right here had a lot of exports and stuff like that. Even the red country right here, it falls into anarchism. Their government wasn't really good anyway, so more of a win for the country. Or not really, but this country right here is gonna die or fall into anarchism. And we even see several others across the map, like who was it? Oh, it was this dude. This dude just kind of dies. Made it. Yeah, they weren't really strong anyway. And there was someone over here. It was this purple team right here. And yeah. So even though some of these guys weren't infected, it's just either terrorist leaders or organizations everywhere across the world have just failed, which leads to several people coming in and taking this land for themselves. First of which being the South African Lime team, who will move and advance straight in right after this happens, because yeah, they love land. So they move in, take some of this land right here, take a major city or not really two. But they just, walk in, take the capital, kill a few 100,000. Okay, they don't have that many. Kill about 10,000. And then they just fully annex it into their country. Yeah, that was about it. Because they're pretty strong at this point. They are definitely a very big country. Very strong, very capable. One of the most capable on this side of the world. Besides like Colombia, the Aztecs, Argentina, you get the point. The next country to fall, however, was this red team here, or will be taken over. And the organization will the alliance organization here, are going to send a lot of their troops in. But so will these guys here. Because of course, this used to be their land. All this area, including the green team, and a little bit of these guys, used to be their land. But, it's whatever. They're going to take over a few of these cities. But, this lime team here, or whatever color this is also going to be advancing, like I said. Part of that alliance. And, it doesn't look pretty. It definitely does not look pretty. It's not like they're doing anything bad, necessarily, except they're just fighting off a lot of anarchism areas, and they will eventually take the capital together, taking all that, to where we will see a peace treaty. And here's a peace treaty, so these guys will get all this land over to here. And then these guys will get the rest. So, kind of unfair, but, they were really eager to get this land anyway. So, They didn't really have a choice. I mean, they could definitely take them on. They just didn't want to. So there we go. Another country wiped off the map. And then this country right here, yeah, it doesn't really have anything. So they will just, well, they're just going to split it up between these two nations. They didn't want to give, they're giving a lot of power over to these guys, hoping they can protect them. Because honestly, they were already the strongest in the alliance. Most likely, they were very strong. Let's just take a look at the alliance here. Yeah, they were definitely the strongest in the alliance, and now this just proves how strong they are. But not necessarily proves, but this just makes them into the beast that they had already depicted them as. But what does the world really think of all this happening right now? Well, most people are in shock, or they're anarchists, so that happens. But the alliance over here is very weak right now. And they know the whole world is weak. So they're going to try to pick up some new members to help their alliance. And they will pick up this country right here. And picking these guys up helps them because they wanted to take over this country who just fell into anarchism. So they send out some help and supplies through this little lake. Then they cross up into this country, into this lake, and then through a few more lakes until they reach them. But they will send out their stuff right around the time when everybody else does, but a little bit sooner, as you can see. But yeah, they're going to send out their stuff, and they're slowly just going to take over some of this land. Let's see, major cities, they capture this one right here before these other guys start sending out their military. The one over here sends out their military, but they just united, and they just, I'm pretty sure, just took over some land from the Chinese Civil War. So it might not be the best idea for them to be doing this, but they are anyway. Because they send out their troops, and they actually capture the capital. But not before the southern area was actually captured by the Australians, because they were very strong. They even move up and capture this area before they are able to get to there, leading for some very wonky borders. But no matter, because all these guys are still invading in until the other two get involved, and it just becomes the biggest mess ever. You can just see how, yeah, they just complete mess. And by the end, it looks something like this, where each of them have their land. And they eventually capitulate over to these guys. And yeah, that's the end. And now we have to see the peace treaty. So, starting off with the peace treaty, the Australians get this piece of land, and yeah, pretty nice. These guys over here will get this piece of land. The green team over here will get that piece of land. And the blue team will get this much. So, they all get quite a bit of land. But for this last piece of land, giving it over to these guys looks horrendous. And I don't think they would be able to capture it. Like, look at that. That does not work. So instead, they will be creating a puppet state for them. And we will color them, I think, red. And that looks a little too bright. We already have two of those. One of these. Pretty sure that was the original color of the country. But it's just a puppet state now. So yeah, they have a puppet state here. Hopefully that'll help them with their goals with these guys. For the next country, the alliance over here, again, we need to give them a name. They're going to be stepping in again. We'll call it the Atlantic Federation, or the Atlantic Union. But they're going to be stepping in, and they're going to be fixing their government. But these guys came in, took some land. It probably looked something like this. Or these two came in, they took over some land. So they'll be keeping them in mind, but they are giving this guy their independence back. So it ends up looking like this, where the country will get their independence back with a whole new government. But down here, the blue team will take over their capital area, which isn't good. So they're going to have to adjust that and move it over into their new country over here, where it'll be positioned right in a new city, actually. They'll be building a new city with the help of the Alliance. But, yeah, so this area also gets taken over by this next country right here. So, yeah, they are way weaker, but now they have the Atlantic Union on their alliance, or they have the Atlantic Union support. So, they're actually, I would say, probably about as strong, even though they did lose a ton of valuable land. That land was a lot, like double the amount of money that they have now, or maybe even triple of what they had. But, there we go. They stayed. Well, there we go. And now I gotta move on to this country. The simplest thing happens with these guys. They just get annexed by the blue country over here. So yeah, that's pretty simple. Blue country gets some pretty good land, honestly. This is pretty nice, fairly populated land. I mean, it's not that populated, but it probably doubles their population. And it's very habitable. So, yeah, they have all that now. But now we're going to have to move on to one of the final things of the video, being the Mediterranean team civil war. And they're going to get a lot of support now and help from this because of these groups and what they're doing. Like the whole world is depending on them. So even the science team is going to go down here and they're going to try to fight off these guys and invade in and take over some of this area, which they will force them back up to here. But it's at this point where these two groups right here unite into one confederation because they are basically the same people. I've never said this before, but they are the exact same people, just at different times and different places. So basically, the southern one was like right here, along with this area and like this area, and the Mediterranean team took them over. And while this was happening, the Cyan team was like up here, right beside them. And they lasted longer, but eventually they were incorporated into the Mediterranean team. And they're very close to the Mediterranean team people. They're like almost identical, but they still have their own ethnics, and they're developing their own religion at this time period. But yeah, the yellow team is not going to like this at one bit. They don't like this fighting going on. So they're actually going to be sending some support to the Mediterranean team, and their relationship has never been better. They used to be like very big rivals, like throughout most of history, and even the wars, the big colonial wars and all that. That started improving their relationship, but yeah, these rebels are very strong, and it gets to the point where the yellow team is going to get in here because they don't want this to happen, and they're going to start attacking. Because the good thing about having a very strong ally is that they had like a rival. They had someone to compete with, and in turn, it helped kind of, they could propaganda the citizens to make it to where they can be stronger, have a stronger army, get more people signing up, like, start scaring people with the Mediterranean teams, basically. And they will not still be there. So that's why they're helping, basically. But at this point, they had become really great friends, the leaders of these two countries. So that wasn't the point, but that was the original intention of helping in this war. And eventually, all this will just become their own kind of, because this is, like I said, this is like a terrorist group. It's really not good. They're doing some really awful things, exploding vehicles and stuff. Wait, we don't have vehicles at this point. They're exploding muskets, and better muskets, because we're around the year 9,000, I think. No, 1,900. Yeah. Around the year around the 90s. The 900s. No. Oh my goodness. Whatever. We're around some time period. Okay. Yeah, vehicles at this point have just been developed because we already went through the Industrial Revolution, And yeah, we probably are actually in the early 20s. I didn't even realize that. So it kind of does line up with the Great Depression in real life, but you know, that's whatever. But this group is really bad, and it gets to the point where, yeah, these I'm pretty sure should have been islands at one point. I don't know where they went. But yeah, these are islands, so I'm gonna make these, but there we go, we got islands here. The yellow team owns this one. And the purple team owns this one. So that's how they were able to control these straits more, because of these islands. Yeah, looks okay. But anyway, they're actually gonna move their troops out, and they're actually gonna take over this island right here. That's like a failsafe, and they're gonna move a lot of their people onto it. Especially from down here, as it's slowly being taken over. But yeah, up here, the Mediterranean team will be going through this way. But eventually, there's, yeah, something really big brewing. And that is a very big independence movement over here. And I mean, it's big. But Mediterranean country has probably the best diplomats in the entire world. That's how they stay alive for a while. And they're going to agree that it was more of a monarchy before. They're agreeing to become a diplomatic. So the Mediterranean Republic, if you will. And they agree, but there are still some areas that don't. Like there was this area right here that doesn't agree, so it kind of just leaves the union of states at this point because it's pretty big. And yeah, it's just like this whole area right here that kind of unite and become together, which is fine. It wasn't really the most economically important areas or populated areas, so that will become their own thing. But over here, they will actually slowly begin to take out this area with the help of the yellow team, and they will actually give the land they kind of took back, the ancient lands of the yellow team, back over to them in return for helping them, which basically all they fought for. But you know, that really a new age of diplomacy we're reaching. But the Great Depression, this Civil War raged on for a long time. When I'm talking about a long time, I mean this took a long time to happen. But eventually, all of this areas will be taken out, and we agreed to the peace deal. And yeah, but before we get there, I just want to say the Great Depression probably lasted about 6 years, from I don't know, 1918 to 1920, 24. No, 26. That's 8 years, yeah. So it lasted that long, which is a really long time, I would say. And yeah, the world was definitely not in a good shape. But after that happens, the purple team's leader, they get a new leader, and that's good. With minimum unrest, this area over here kind of does its own thing. We'll talk about that during the peace treaty, though. But yeah, so they're able to get a new leader, and unfortunately, this island is not taken back. They have some of their defenses around this island are strong. I mean, nobody gets off the island, and nobody comes near it. But yeah, it's time to look at that peace treaty. In the peace treaty, we can start off by the Mediterranean country getting this piece of land, and that piece of land, and of course, they are becoming a republic. These guys over here, however, are a monarchy still. So, oh, bless me. Yeah, but they are still a monarchy because of all that. But yeah, so these guys are a country. But now we have to get on to the rest of the peace treaty. And for the rest of the peace treaty, the Mediterranean team will keep access to the top of this area, so the strait. But the rest of this is going to get their independence back as a country, which they've been pushing for a long time. And the Mediterranean Republic understands that, so they will be granting them that. But what happened to the previous monarch? Well, he was actually, oh, in this area, let's give it over to them. But he was actually, a lot of things happened. So basically, he was actually found to be corrupt as soon as, like, pretty much after the war ended. Some files were leaked of him being corrupt and kind of starting this rebellion here, the terrorist group, which is definitely not good. And after that, they realized that he went over to this country and he became their leader as a monarch, which isn't good. So they found out about this, and the people of this country kind of put in a new ruling family, and he was said to be put on trial by the Continental Pact after a little bit, but he escaped and he fled. Who knows where? But some people have some theories on where he escaped to. But anyway, these countries are now gonna have to get their independence and their own capitals. And for pretty much the topper of today's video, the Mediterranean Republic here, they still are pretty strong, but they're now having to. They now have granted semi-autonomy to the groups over here, not like the terrorist groups, but like the cyan team, I guess, this light blue team over here. Everything like west of that, including down here, semi-autonomy. But to these guys, so yeah, that pretty much ends an era, the small little short age of division, basically. I know it was pretty small actually, but now that that's over, we can get into a lot of bigger things, including a build-up to potentially World War II. So if you enjoyed this video, please show your support, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Welcome, King Belapod, and welcome to Colombia. Thank you, Truvius. It's been too long. It has indeed. So you've heard the news? The monarch collapsing? Yes, I have. I don't see your country doing any better. Let's get on with this.